few weeks ago, Xavier from Diecast Show Customs and I were discussing our Oldsmobile 442 collections. So we decided to do a collaboration video where we both restored an identical 1973 police cruiser. A few things which date this as a 1973 version. First is it had paper stickers on both doors that said police. There are door lines on this casting which were only used on the 1973 casting. Another feature would be the door handles. Both those and the door lines were removed on later releases. It also has the red dome light and of course the opening hood. So one other feature which dates this car as a 73 would be the cast base, which has quite a few details on it, similar to the original Olds 442 release. Version also has open hole Redlines, which are usually 74 releases and later, but there was a few 73s. This also has broken A-pillars. That's going to need to be fixed. Now the glass is in pretty good shape on this, just a little scuffed up. So I've pre-drilled the car and we're going to take it apart and inspect all the pieces. First thing we'll do is take a look at the base. Inside the base it's actually fairly clean. The outside is a completely different story. This base is very heavily corroded and somewhat pitted. Not quite as bad as the body, but it definitely has some corrosion that's going to need to be cleaned up. We'll pop out the interior and windshield. Obviously the interior is very dirty. That should clean up okay with some soap and water. Taking a look at the windshield, it's a little bit scuffed in areas, but there's no cracks or any other visible damage, so I think we can sand that out and polish it up. Now the dome light is a different story. It almost looks like somebody had flipped this car upside down and just kind of ground the top of it off. So we're going to need to replace the dome light. That's not salvageable at all. Another problem was a broken hood latch on the hood. Now the pins are still intact, so that's a good thing. But there is a broken latch, so that is going to have to be replaced. Right now it doesn't open too well. It kind of hits against the cowl. Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be any damage to the casting itself other than the cracked A-pillars, so I think we can gently push those back into place and take care of that issue. The casting looks like after coming out of the stripper. You can see it's heavily corroded. Quite a bit of what you might call white rust. So I've carefully scraped away some of it just to see how much I can remove before we drop this into an acid dip. I use CLR to clean the surface of my castings and bases. I know a lot of people use Lime Away. It pretty much is the same thing. You just can't overdo it. Give it a good brushing with like a brass wire brush, and that usually removes all the corrosion. So now that we've cleaned the casting up, you can see all the pitting. There's areas on the doors that don't look too bad. Those were actually protected by the old paper stickers on the doors. The rest of the casting, not so much. Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be any real visible damage other than the areas I've already pointed out. Casting wasn't crushed or anything, so we should be able to work with it. Same thing with the base. After a lot of primer and spot putty filler and sanding, finally got the casting smoothed out. It was fairly challenging because I didn't want to remove all of the body lines, so I had to kind of work around that. The other big issue here, other than repairing the A-pillars, was the hood. So how do we fix a hood latch? Because it's the latch and not the pin, in this case I got to somehow recreate this latch. So what I'm going to do is use a stainless steel tube from actually an epoxy dispensing tube, and I'll wind up cutting a very small piece to basically replicate the latch and glue that in place. You can see it's got the same ID in the tube as the hole in the latch to fit the pin. So we're going to give that a shot. This is what I buy these 4-inch long dispensing needles, and various sizes. You can use them for a lot of different things. Paint turned out pretty good on this casting. I was pretty pleased with how it looks. So now we're going to move on to fixing the dome light. I could buy one of these on eBay, but prices, I don't know, I can't justify it. So what I had was a blue dome light, exactly the same shape. And I think I'm going to use this and make a casting of it. So I'm going to go to my tried and true method of a simple tool, which is to use Oyu Maru. It's kind of a silicone based, they call it a clay, but really what it does is you put it in hot water and it gets very soft, and you can press a part in and make a casting. Pause the video here if you want to read this. It's very simple too and easy to use for simple castings. The material I'm going to use is Alumilite clear epoxy, and to get this red I'm going to put 1 drop of blood red Creatix Candy 2.0 and mix it into about 25 millimeters of the epoxy. So here, after a few tries, is the end result. I think it turned out pretty nice. It's very translucent, as you can see as I move it through the light. Now, to take care of the wheels, I'm actually going to use a donor Redline. This is a later run Ferrari, which has a plastic base. But as you can see, it's got the same identical wheels as the original casting. I pre-drilled this, just going to pop it open. The one thing I like about using this particular model is that it has a plastic base, so it's easy to get the axles out. All it's held in by these 2 plastic clips, so you just cut those clips and you can pop the axles out and you're good to go. Here we'll take a look at the hood. With my repair to the hood, it opens very easily now. It doesn't hit or hang up at all. You can tell it's been repaired if you look closely at the latch, but you know, most of the time you're not going to see that, but the hood works really well. I also made my own decals, which are actually stickers for the sides. So I wanted to give it the same look as an original sticker. I created my own artwork and printed these out on a laser printer. You can buy replacement decals, usually made with vinyl or water slides, but a lot of the fonts that are used, they don't match the original font. So I had to create the font and the artwork myself, and I think it turned out pretty good. I want to thank Xavier for offering to do this collaboration. I'll have a link to his video down in my description.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.